Did you see the stylish?
Welcome to the Young IPA podcast. I'm James, this is Pete.
G'day everyone.
It is the 29th of August and this is episode 124. Super fun show coming up. We're going to be talking to Sky News host Rita Panahi, the Friday show. She's also a political prisoner, as we get into, so we're going to be talking to her about being in Twitter jail for a tweet from 2 years ago.
She announced she's a lefty as well.
Yes, and there's a bit of cruise chat. We're going to chat some cruise, which Pete
cruises.
and I have never been on, so we're going to learn. We're going to laugh and we're going to learn. And we've also got Willoughby Duff. So for people that watch Q&A on Monday night, the high school special, Willoughby Duff is a high school student from Western Australia who was on the show. Pete and I talked to him about being on the show, being on the panel, and some of the stuff that was written online. He's a really interesting chat. We'll rule the world within a year, maybe two, and which is good news for Pete and I, because I think I'm ambassador to the US and you get your own show on the ABC.
That's what he promised.
Okay, cool. So that's a super fun chat. We're going to be talking about the Amazon fires. That's the biggest story in the world. Electric cars. We're sending a nuclear bomb into a hurricane at the moment, which is going to be the best action movie from 1993 in the planet. Super fun show from the rest of it. Pete, anything you're particularly looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to where I say on telly that I'll save it, but I insert cricket into the national political discussion.
And high time you did.
And my hero's an absolute ripper.
Because if there's one thing people aren't discussing at the moment, it's cricket.
Yeah, the nexus.
Yes. All right, so Pete, let's talk about it, because Amazon fires was the big story.
It was. Over 70,000 fires raging in the Amazon, and you would have seen a lot of celebrities and politicians saying this is a massive issue, blah, 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 blah. I'd like to hit you with some...
Blah, 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 blah.
It's a direct quote.
Wow.
I would like to hit you with a few facts. So Eric Holthouse is an example of this. He's a leading climate reporter with 500,000 Twitter followers, lots of followers.
It's more than me.
More than you. He said the current fires are without precedent in the past 20,000 years.
Yeah.
That's the kind of red hot take, pun intended, that a lot of has been going on. Now, NASA reported, you might have heard of NASA, they reported that actually the level of fires is slightly below average. Dan Nepstad, who's a commentator on climate, said that they were 7% higher than average over the last 10 years. This is the level of fires in the Amazon, so around average. Forbes reported that deforestation declined a whopping 70% between 2004 and 2012.
So you're telling me that an internet trend of talking about how 20% of the world's oxygen supply is going out the window was incorrect?
Mate, that is exactly what I'm telling you.
Because people didn't spend time researching the facts.
They didn't research the facts like we bring to you. Also, Emmanuel Macron, president of France, circulated fake photos, which Saul has put on the screen now if you're watching on YouTube. He tweeted, "Our house is burning." Literally, incorrect use of the word literally.
Well, that's not the only, he's not the only one. I saw that photo far more than any other photo talking about Amazon fires when people were talking about it. And that's not from the Amazon fires.
That is not from the Amazon fires. That was taken by a photographer who died in 2003. So
if it was about the Amazon fires, there are bigger issues at stake, because there is a photographer who died 16 years ago who's still producing top quality content.
Exactly, and maybe that's what we should
track him down.
Maybe that's what we should be talking about, the zombie apocalypse. Now, another thing is this lungs of the earth thing.
They're back and they're taking photos.
Yeah, exactly right. Lungs of the earth thing keeps getting, floated around. These are the lungs of the earth. We've got to protect them. Bjorn Lomborg said, we love Bjorn Lomborg. The Amazon, like all other ecosystems, produce as much oxygen as they consume. Thus, their net production is about zero. Yeah.
My thing is, I get that it's overblown how many forest fires there are in the Amazon.
Yeah.
There's still a lot.
There's a lot of fires, yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of how many there are.
Yeah.
I don't like animals getting incinerated.
Okay.
So...
Bit real?
Yeah. I'm just saying, you came in this is a bloody stitch up.
It is.
Look at it. It's still a lot of fire.
Yeah.
And it's
getting better.
I know, but it's that's a lot of fires. I think I can both be sad about how many fires there are and also concerned about the economic development of Brazil's poor. Because a lot of the fires are started by people who are trying to clear land for farming so they can afford to wait, which I get. Which I get, but there is still a lot of fire.
Well, that's right. And look, this sort of seeps into my point, is that we've got environmental, crises that we have to look at, but you can't just make stuff up.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, the Pacific Islands were disappearing. They're not. So, yeah.
Okay, I get that. And I also got when DiCaprio and Cristiano Ronaldo and Macron all tweeting about...
Oh, is that so?
It's Macron. When they're all tweeting about the Amazon fires, it's well, what do you want me to do? I'm here in Melbourne. You're all multimillionaires. Do you want me to write a check for how much money I have to the Amazon rainforest? Isn't this what you do?
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's my theory. I got another story here. So electric vehicles, they're always seen as like the golden way forward for reducing CO2. If we can start using petrol-based cars, we can start using electric cars. That's all fine.
Yeah.
So story that comes out yesterday that really puts a hole in that. So basically, Labor's green card policy would require up to $7 billion, and the other part of it being that electric vehicles actually take up more carbon dioxide emissions than regular petrol vehicles. Mm-hmm. So electric cars, worse for the planet than petrol-based cars.
And this was the most clicked article in the Oz yesterday.
It was indeed. So this was a pre-election briefing. It was put together by this engineering firm, Abmark, just to, like, Labor's come up with this policy. They're like, does it work? And they were like, quite clearly, no, we're not in that space yet. But it's just like the same thing we talk about when we talk about exporting coal and all this other stuff, renewable energy. It's like there is no magic bullet to solving environmental problems.
Well,
it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like
I thought we had nuclear power in backpacks, but that's all right.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But it's like if you go 100% renewables and you go electric cars that are really expensive and don't save the planet, and you do all this, the planet isn't saved, and you just end up making life bad for poor people.
That's exactly right.
There is no magic bullet. Stop thinking there is one.
That's exactly right. And the thing I love about this is I would just love, like a rich person with their Tesla at a charging station with their jumper over their shoulders, the way the rich people do that.
Yeah.
And someone just this, young bogan driving past in their Datsun yelling out, "Stop trashing the environment,
yeah,
mate."
That's the future we want to see. Cool. All right. So third story, Pete. We wanted to talk about this a lot. We're apparently deploying nuclear bombs on hurricanes.
Well, Donald Trump obviously listens to this podcast because we always say,
what a throwback to, hey, what did I miss from 4 years ago?
We've got a lot of prominent listeners, and we say nuclear power is a great way to fight climate change. Donald, we didn't mean fire nukes at hurricanes, which is exactly what is alleged.
Oh, so you're anti this? Interesting.
I am anti this.
Interesting.
I am anti this. So it was reported this week that Donald Trump suggested in a meeting that we should nuke hurricanes. Apparently he said, I got it. Why don't we nuke them in a meeting, according to this source? He went on to say, they start forming off the coast of Africa as they're moving across the Atlantic. We drop a bomb inside the eye of the hurricane and it disrupts it. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that?
I can't. Well, you're against it. You tell me why we can't do that.
Well, allegedly there's other... Well, I think the main thing is that it wouldn't stop the hurricane.
Well, that's what we... Have you ever dropped a nuclear bomb in a hurricane?
I haven't, no.
How do we know?
Well, there you go. So Trump has denied. He said it's a phony story. This never happened, blah, 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 blah.
It 100% happened, I reckon.
Oh, mate,
definitely
let's buy Greenland, let's bomb hurricanes.
Yeah.
I should become president. Like, they're all crazy ideas. They all happened. Well, not they all happened. One of them happened. Anyway, but
the other two are yet to happen, but I'm not ruling them out.
Not ruling them out. Especially the Greenland one.
Yeah.
But Hillary Clinton tweeted out, let's not nuke hurricanes, right?
We should not nuke hurricanes, yeah.
So very funny from you, Hillary. But I've done a bit of investigative research here, James. 2014.
She had a strong pro-bombing hurricane stance.
Well, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
The Hurricane Research Division of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, who always talk about climate change, said the question arises every hurricane season. And they said that...
That's it?
That's
the first time I've heard this question.
There's a very smart scientist, James, and they said that, but they made that statement in 2014.
Yeah.
Now, I'm no historian, but a quick cursory look at the internet says that Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013, just prior to that statement from those
So you reckon
people.
she's asked?
I'm not making that claim, James. The Clintons have very good lawyers.
Right.
I'm just saying, in the preceding 5 years,
I nearly had you.
She was Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And in charge of, her purview was probably hurricanes and nuclear bombs.
My take is when Clinton tweets out, we should not nuke hurricanes, I mean, that's the 2016 election right there. Like, we have a problem. It's hurricanes. Donald Trump, he's thinking outside the box. He's exploring different tasks.
Yeah.
And Hillary's like, you know what? We're not nuclearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
that's right, actually.
Hillary, what's your plan?
That's actually a smart point.
Hillary, what's your plan?
Yeah. Like,
Think outside the box. What, we're just going to sit there and take another hurricane? No, Trump's on the front foot. He's going into the ocean and he's dropping bombs.
That's right. She's speaking to her base, kind of going like, how stupid is this guy,
Yeah, and even if we don't end up using a nuclear bomb in a hurricane, now hurricanes know that it's on the table.
Yeah.
Like if they're forming in Africa, in the ocean, and they're thinking about coming over America, it's classic Cold War nuclear deterrent policy. They know they might come up against a nuclear bomb. They don't want to do that, so they'll stay in the ocean.
They know we're dinkum.
Yeah. The hurricane knows who's boss now.
That's right.
Like, what do we got now?
Yeah.
What have we got now, Mr. Hurricane?
Exactly.
All right, cool. Let's head over to Heroes and Villains segment. So, the Grunt the Pig Freedom Award, which we... Oh, there it is. Jeez.
Rocky. This is a...
Saul changes the timings on when he plays that sound effect every single week, and it will always throw us off.
That was a photo of James on Saturday night.
Very funny.
So cheap.
Yeah, that's just wow. Can we cut that? Anyway, sorry. When we play that snout, or the snort, I guess, we're highlighting a story from around the world where someone stood up for freedom.
Yep.
And someone stood... Whoa. Saul is a madman on the tech desk right now.
He's still thinking about Nuke Hurricanes.
All right, sorry. Pete, we got a very 2-second teaser right there.
Yeah.
So, Pete, who is your nomination for Hero of the Week?
Well, I'm so confident about this Hero of the Week that she could actually win the whole lot
Yeah.
at the end of the year.
Well, I'm very confident that we have the AV clip.
Yeah, that's good. So, and this one, like normally, sometimes my Hero of the Week is a bit of a joke, but this one I'm genuinely inspired about. This person's name is Catherine Burblesing. She is a headmistress in the United Kingdom. She came to prominence when she spoke about the education system in the UK at the Conservative Party conference in 2010, and Saul will play that clip right now.
I have come here today to expose some of the truths about the education system. My experience of teaching for over a decade in 5 different schools has convinced me beyond a shadow of a doubt that the system is broken because it keeps poor children poor.
Yeah, well said, Catherine. And she came out to Australia a few years after that, and I was fortunate enough to spend a bit of time with her as I took her around to her meetings, which was good. Now, what happened during the week was she's established this free school called Michaela in the United Kingdom. It's 5 years old. A free school is a school that is outside the control of the Education Authority over in the UK, so they can hire their own teachers, they can fire teachers, it's not controlled by the unions, they can set their own curriculum. It's basically completely separate, they compete with other schools, so it's like a private school for low-income people.
And
really.
it's a very controversial thing. Like
Yeah.
in Britain, there are people that are completely for it, and I would say you and I are completely for it.
Absolutely.
And then there are a whole lot of people against it.
Exactly right. She got a lot of flack when she opened this school 5 years ago from the unions and all that stuff. Now, what happened this week was they got their GSCE grades for the first time ever because they only just started 5 years ago. And basically they...
And that's like the end of year 12 exam?
Exactly right, end of year 12, yep. And more than half of all grades were level 7 or above, which is an A star, which is basically an A, which is more than twice the national average, and nearly 1 in 5 of all grades was 9, which was compared to 4.5%, which is the national average. Now, that's awesome. And she copped a lot of criticism. Even after she got the results, she was getting a bit of criticism. She tweeted this out about her school, which is on the screen now. They hate free schools, conservative values, black people thinking for themselves, refusal to embody victimhood, perseverance, light shining on bad ideology, anti-virtual signalling and determination. They hate all that I am. So, very strong
That's a good tweet.
Now, one of the other things about this school, James, is that it has a completely different discipline to the rest of the school system.
And this is what sets it out. It's very, very strict.
This is one of the things that sets it apart from the other schools. You're not allowed to talk in between classes. You have to.
I'm already expelled.
Yeah, well, you definitely would. Well, me too, probably.
Yeah.
They have to walk in line. They have to walk in silence.
I'm gone.
Yeah, they have to thank their teachers all the time. So and thank each other. They're very kind to each other. So you might struggle
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty okay.
You'd be okay with that. And there's other stuff like, they've got to, if they're 1 minute late for class, they get a detention.
Double expelled.
No excuses.
Yep. I have 2 marketable skills, and it's being loud and being late to things.
They're your marketable skills.
I'm out.
Okay, so James is in trouble. Anyway, this is an actually inspirational story. Catherine Burblesing, my hero of the week.
Yep. All right. That's a very good one. So my one, I really hope this wins at the end of the year because it will in some way mean that I might be able to spend some time with him. Sorry, Dave Chappelle, new special came out.
Strong field.
2 days ago. So Dave Chappelle, the best stand-up comedian of all time, probably. Okay. I mean, there's a few others, but Dave Chappelle right up there.
This is your area.
Well, I could talk about this for 2.5 hours, but I only have a minute, so let me fly through it. So Dave Chappelle, very famous stand-up comedian. He had a special about maybe last year, maybe the year before, where he copped a lot of criticism because he made jokes about topics that you shouldn't make jokes about these days, transsexuals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Copped a whole lot of crap. This new special, he doubles down on everything. Everything that he got made fun of. Like, he also talks a lot about Me Too. That comes back. It's like everything that he made fun of or made jokes in the area of, he comes back with a vengeance. Yeah. And the whole thing is just like a middle finger to people, middle finger to woke culture and stuff like that. He's the man. It's the best. And all the same people that criticized him last time are criticizing him again. And he will just continue to make stand-up specials because he's funny and that overrules woke culture.
So fantastic. Now, you have smashed tequilas with Dave Chappelle, haven't you?
Yes. So
let's talk us through that story.
Well, I'm at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. Comedy Store, if you don't know, it's like the second most famous comedy venue in the world. I was just there. It was like this 20 comedians would do 10 minutes. and by the end of the night, it was like 8 people left, and I wasn't going to leave until they kicked me out. So I was there front row. Pretty
standard.
And Dave Chappelle rocks up and does an hour and a half at about 1:30 in the morning. And it was the best. Yeah.
But tequila?
Yeah, that was tequila.
So I thought he bought you tequila.
Yeah, from the stage. But yeah, the story's going on way too long. No one cares.
That's my favourite bit. Anyway, so that's your...
All right, that's my hero of the week. All right, so villain of the week, the other side of the coin, people that have stood up for tyranny, stood up for sadness, I guess. The Walter Peck Freedom Award, there he is on screen. Pete, who is your nomination for villain of the week?
University of Queensland, James.
Okay, there we go.
So they've launched an investigation into Heng Tao Shen, someone who still holds an honorary professorship at UQ, used to be an actual professor. In fact, one of the youngest ever professors at UQ. He was named in his time at UQ a Thousands Talents Scholar by the CCP, Chinese Communist Party. Didn't ring any alarm bells
it's like,
at UQ. Anyway, that happened. Now, he set up an AI company while he was at UQ, receiving taxpayer-funded research grants that creating AI and surveillance technology that is now being used as surveillance material to survey the Uyghur population of China. Now, of course, the Uyghurs in China are being brutally repressed at the moment. They're in internment camps. They're being monitored. They're having their places of worship destroyed. Now, he called the AI company Koala AI. So he's like, the UQ people must have gone, oh, well.
Yeah, no one hates koalas.
What could possibly be wrong here? It's named
Koalas
after a fuzzy koala. So, look, for UQ to try and claim you don't have a problem with CCP influence and presence on your campus, you're my villain of the week.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the hell is going down at UQ? Like, we have this story now. Last week we had Drew Pavlo on the show talking about, like, the university was like, we're not going to crack down on the people that are assaulting you at protests. Yeah. Like, what is going on down there? It's very interesting.
Yeah, I just copped a villain.
Okay, my villain of the week, The Economist.
Yep.
Famous magazine. They're progressively getting worse with their takes, and this was no exception. So they had this article. It was about like, poor people around the world are eating more meat and they're leading healthier lives. And to sell it, the social media team decided to tweet out as an article lead, I guess it would be. People are seeing it on screen now. Yeah, but more poor people are eating meat around the world. That means they will live longer, healthier lives, but it is bad news for the environment. Those pesky poor people, Pete.
Just seem a bit put out, don't they?
Yeah, it's just like, well, it's good, but I like looking at pictures of wildlife. Yeah. So is it actually good that poor people are no longer in povery?
Yeah, those toasters and ovens. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Just using up a little bit too much electricity.
So thankfully the internet came out to it, and I know people want... some of the comments... progressives actually hate poor people the way libertarians get accused of hating poor people, probably, and bold stance against poor people economists. Yep. But yeah, that's the thing. It's just like... How was that the right way to go about sending out this article?
And they haven't taken it down.
Yeah, it's still there.
Like, doesn't the person who wrote the article go, hang on,
yeah,
you're making me sound
to be fair, like, when you read the article, the guy's not actually... The author of the article is not actually anti-poor people making their lives better, which I really think few people are. Yeah. But it's just, the rogue social media team's like, well... Let's hear both sides of this.
And they've got a lot of backlash, and they've just gone, now we're going to leave it up.
All right, sweet. Let's go to our interview with Rita Panahi. It's going to be an absolute cracker. Okay, we now welcome back onto the show, friend of the show, one-woman media force, and host of the Sky News Friday show, Rita Panahi. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, you've had a big week and a bit. We wanted to get you on the show because you got thrown in Twitter jail. So do you want to tell us what happened there?
What did you do?
Oh, my Twitter ordeal, really. Amnesty International should get involved because my human rights have been abused.
You're a political prisoner at this point. We're harboring
Basically, I've been persecuted, and I think, I don't know, is there some sort of human rights commission I can take this to? Is there some sort of a... well, it was just so ridiculous. I woke up, usual sort of 6:30 and...
Usual, yep.
Usual.
yeah, definitely something we all do.
After a solid 3 hours.
What time did you say, sorry?
There's a 6:30 now. That's incredible.
In the AM, I know. It's wild. Yeah. Checked my emails, and there's one from Twitter, your account's being locked was the expression. And I'm like, what? Locked? And as you know, I'm tweeting day and night, but I'm not... I don't use foul language. I don't, dox people. I don't, do anything that you would think would be questionable to get me blocked or locked up. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I looked and they sent me this the tweet that they said was problematic that they wanted me to delete. And I was looking at it. It was a tweet about Linda Sarsour, the anti-Semitic leader of the Women's March in the US. And I'm like, there's nothing in here that's even questionable. I couldn't even remember the tweet. It obviously was sent a long time ago.
When was it from, sorry?
Well, it was sent back in February 2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Suddenly now it's breaching Twitter's rules and I must be locked up. So I put an objection in and I said, well, I don't want to delete that. I don't know what I'm deleting. What's wrong with it? And it wasn't until one of a journo in the US looked it up, and he looked up and saw what the attachment to it was, because when they sent me a copy of what they were objecting to, the tweet, it didn't have the attachment visible. So given it was sent back in February 2017, I have no idea what was attached to it. And what was attached to it was what got me into trouble. Is it was a screen grab of an abusive email I'd been sent. So apparently now if you share abuse you've received,
then you committed the abuse.
then I'm in the wrong. So I saw that, I thought, I can't be stuffed dealing with these idiots. So I just deleted the tweet. I still had to serve another 12 hours suspension after deletion. It was just so ridiculous, really. I mean, you see lefties spew the most demented, ugly abuse, racial threats of violence or wishes of threats of violence I've seen up there without ever being deleted, without ever accounts being suspended. But conservatives I've held to a different standard. And I really do hope Jordan Peterson gets his act together and gets this alternate platform set up, so there actually is a choice for people where you not have to be on these massive platforms that have got this virtual monopoly, really. I mean, really, what's Twitter's competition? It doesn't have one. So, so it just shows you, this is the same Twitter that keeps saying, there's no bias, there's no political bias. They let things like Massacre Mitch or Massacre Moscow Mitch trend, which is just a horrible thing to allow to happen on your platform. And then they get on their high horse about, we want to have a civil discourse and we don't want to have any
they go like, we blocked
robust
Farrakhan.
language.
Why are you angry at us? We blocked Farrakhan. We're clearly on your side as well. It's like, well
they
congratulations.
They didn't. He's still around. A guy who compares Jews to termites. That there's so many ugly accounts. Reza Aslan, who, was talking about how punchable the Covington kids' faces were. Like, that tweet's got thousands of retweets and likes, still up there, no deletion, no, suspension. So I just think it was just a silly little episode. And the crazy thing is that whole day, Free Rita, #FreeRita was trending.
Yeah, I saw that. It was
and
a
ended
national
up with
trend.
thousands more followers. So, a bit of an own goal from the lefties. We're trying. Can you imagine how many tweets they would have had to bloody troll through to find that one to report me for, to try to get me suspended?
That's what I was going to ask.
There would be literally tens of thousands of tweets I would have sent in that time.
Yes.
You know me. I'm like, I tweet in my sleep.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's an
tweets about
illness.
Islamic App before you get to that one. So I was going to say, had that tweet blown up by any, had people come back to that tweet? Why was that the tweet that got you in trouble? Or is it just we can
I
go with that?
reckon some obsessive freak has sat there and gone through literally thousands and thousands of tweets, perhaps reporting a lot of them, but that one is the one that resonated with the good folk at Twitter. It's she has posted up abuse she's received. I mean, that's just unconscionable.
Yeah.
Really, get stuffed. I mean, as with my stuff, of course I'm fairly clear in what I think about issues, but half my bloody tweets are cat videos and other stuff. I love it all.
Yeah.
I'm sharing all sorts of content.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of it ridiculous.
You do love to tweet a lot. Did you find that you had withdrawal syndromes? You're like, I want to tweet that.
That was so long. What I hated most was they wouldn't let me access my DMs. So for the whole 12 hours, they let me have access to my DMs for a bit. And then they blocked that. So I couldn't even look at my feed or look at my DMs. And I was getting all these DMs because people were then texting me going, you're not responding to that DM, you need to look at it. And I'm like, I can't see it. So it is weird, no. But you know what? I do have... I have periods where there's no Twitter, when normally my cruise ship periods where... you just have to accept that, stuff could be happening around the world and you're not aware of it and you can't say anything about it.
I can't accept that. I can't accept that.
Well,
I
now
need to be
they've
plugged in at all
got
times.
satellite Wi-Fi on cruise ships. So
I thought that was a metaphor. You're actually on a cruise ship.
I love cruising. I'm the world's youngest cruise enthusiast. That's crazy because, it's basically 70 plus age group who are into their cruising.
And Rita just...
And me and my son, we've done over a dozen cruises. Love it. You get to go to lots of different places in one holiday without stuffing around with bloody airports and train stations. I mean, what's not to love about that?
Do you get off the cruise or are you just stuck on the cruise?
Oh, no. You've got to pick the itinerary. That's key, the ports you want to go to.
Yep.
And it's the perfect mix because, when you've got a port day, it's just hectic. You're trying to squeeze in as much as you can in a day, see as much as you can.
Yep.
Port day. These are, cruise terminology now. Stick with us.
Write this stuff down.
Yeah.
And then you've got sea days. So you might have a sea day between ports where you can just relax, just read a book and just actually have some relaxation as opposed to having that hectic activity during the... It's the perfect holiday. I don't know why the young'uns, like you lot, aren't out there cruising.
I've been on a Kentucky trip, which is it's a cruise ship for alcoholics in their early 20s. So we also have bus days where we don't do anything and then port days where we run around.
That Kentucky thing always just weirded me out.
Yeah.
I just thought, I just get images of, needing Dettol, lots of Dettol. Just
Yeah, I'm 25 and way too old for it now, but back 21-year-old me had a great time.
Yeah,
I don't think you're too old.
I reckon, if you're in that
Trust me,
little
yes.
age group, it might be great fun. This has turned into a cruise ship
It has,
commercial,
really,
basically. Yeah. Can we get AAPT or somebody to sponsor this?
That's what I was
Because
thinking.
frankly, I don't know why I'm doing this for free.
We should do this podcast from a cruise.
We
How about
could.
that? Let's bring this back to...
Oh, yeah, so my Twitter
Yeah.
my Twitter turmoil where I was persecuted, and
Yeah.
I'm going to take it to the Australian Human Rights Commission because it's outrageous.
yeah,
But really, it is so crazy to have this double standard that is just so obvious to anybody, where if you're conservative, everything you say is held, scrutinised and held to a different standard than if you are from the left. I mean, you look at some of the high-profile feminist columnists we have, and the sort of just vitriol they spew online.
Yeah, we want to get into
If I did
this.
that once, I would be deplatformed from everywhere.
Yeah,
There would be
gone.
nowhere I could be, whether it's social media, radio, print, TV. You just could not do that. But if you're off the left, that's okay. They're just being colourful. That's all right.
Well, it's so Alan Jones right now, what's going on there? It's the comments that, I wouldn't have made, but also you look at the reaction to his comments, and then you look at someone like Clementine Ford, who writes what she does on Twitter, and it's just completely different. Who's losing sponsors.
The crazy thing is Channel 10 actually they gave Clementine Ford a platform to sit in judgment of Alan Jones to say enough is enough, he has to go. I mean, what credibility does this woman have who throws around the C word to any conservative, whether it's Miranda Devine, whether it's Pete Dutton, whoever it is? She uses this... ABC had to apologise for her use of the C word against a female columnist. She's thrown really ugly sort of racial abuse at me, talking about, you want to be a white man or something, which is just such a most twisted, perverted sort of mindset she must have to come up with that. And yet she sits in judgment of Alan Jones. Can you imagine if Alan Jones ever employed that language? I mean,
it's not just koala mattresses he'd be losing. It'd be literally everything.
Well, what I was shocked to find out was that Clementine Ford is a brand ambassador for koala mattresses.
Oh, really?
Someone showed me a tweet where she was talking about some free mattress she got when she moved into somewhere. So, that whole company seems to be pretty... bizarre in its messaging. But anyway, but it's not just Clementine Ford. There's plenty of others who just aren't held to the same standard, who get gigs on our taxpayer-funded ABC. I mean, Clementine Ford, after Fairfax sacked her, or she split from them, she got a gig at the ABC doing several pieces. I mean, how does that work? How does the taxpayer broadcaster justify that? Or Benjamin Law, who, talked about wanting to hate conservative politicians who are against same-sex marriage. Jeez. Again, can you imagine if a Conservative ever said anything even approaching that?
Yeah.
It would just be the end of their career. But not then. You just get another gig at the ABC. Why not?
So I'm keen to get your opinion on a few of these companies. What do you think it is that causes these big companies to just jump ship so quickly? Do you I've got this theory that there are social media HR departments that just run them. What do you think?
I think there's several reasons. One is corporates don't like controversy. They're allergic to it. So anything where, this could be bad PR, this could damage our image, this is, they go into crisis mode way too quickly, There is sort of a bedwetting phenomenon that Matt Canavan talked about overnight. Other problem is, you do have people who in HR social media areas who perhaps agree with the online mob, so they're more ready to listen to that message, and they see the words, the trigger words that sexism, racism, misogyny, violence against women, words of violence that can cause it. But I think an even bigger part is the fact that they're just not equipped to deal with this online mob phenomenon that we have, where there's a social media or where the engagement is fairly minimal. They might get a few tweets or emails, and then suddenly they're inundated by hundreds, and they panic. They think, oh my God, this must be a huge controversy. People out there must be absolutely outraged, not realising that it's a few dozen, activist idiots with multiple accounts who are well organised, who generate this outrage. And,
there's no way Sleeping Giants is more than 15 people.
Well, you remember they had their big march. They had their big march advertised, we're getting together, and there were more media there to cover them than there were. The pictures of them were pitiful. I put the pictures up myself on Twitter. I was like, look at this lot. This is it. This is, the giant.
So they can't really block Burke Street, but they can block one door.
Well,
and you can still get around them if you want to.
Well, Sky News commissioned some digital company, I can't recall their name, to actually have a look at the activity to see where these tweets were coming from, how many accounts were sending them.
Brunswick.
And well, one, it was a very, very small number of accounts that sent thousands of tweets to the advertisers. Overwhelming majority were fake accounts, I shouldn't say fake, anonymous accounts. So, James, if you had 10 minutes spare, you could open up 30 fake accounts in that time.
And they all respond to the podcast tweets talking about how handsome I am. I'm very well versed.
Another 30.
They give this impression of, they represent the public because we've been inundated with hundreds of emails. The public must be outraged. The public, in most cases, could not give us stuff. And if you actually did question them on what people are outraged about, most of the time they'd say it's stupid and, they'd move on. So, but there is this gap, I think, still between corporates understanding this online mob phenomenon, how it works and how to deal with it without wetting their pants and just, going, we've just got to abscond and divorce ourselves from any controversy, because that is the price of free speech. You can't, and I think Conservatives are not good playing this game, and I'm kind of conflicted about it because you don't want to sort of lower yourself to the left's tactics. But I think sometimes we actually have to look at their playbook and look at how they do things and hold them to that same standard they want to hold us to, because otherwise it's a one-way street. So perhaps, Conservatives can, if a company leaves, say, well, I don't want to give business to a company that doesn't support free speech. I don't want to give my business to a company that gives in to an online mob of a few unwashed idiots, and that's more important to them than the concept of free speech and a diversity of voices. Or, you could have Conservatives, and I don't particularly suggest this happens, doing the same thing to the left. So when you do have this feral abuse that's so ugly and ugly, then deplatform them. I mean, you never see that, and I'm not a fan of it because I'm not a fan of deplatforming people, banning people, but I'm coming around to the idea that it is not sustainable for this to be a one-way street. And perhaps if the left were affected by these tactics that they push, then they would be less enthusiastic about wanting to ban people, deplatform people. If they knew could also happen to them, that, you know, these rules don't just apply to your ideological opponents, they also apply to you.
Yeah.
So I just think, I don't know how you do that without lowering yourself to adopting their tactics, but I think that there has to be some pushback now because it's just getting too difficult for Conservatives to have a platform. And you look at someone like Alan Jones, he is number one with a massive margin, has been for, God knows, more than 100 consecutive surveys. And for him to be losing advertisers because, you know, people who are way less successful than him are putting so much pressure on them to disavow and leave, it's madness. So they can't counter him and his arguments. So they're trying to eliminate the platform where you can reach people.
Yeah, I just go like, if the centre right does start doing the same thing with that the left's doing, I can then see a future where no company supports anything slightly risky ever, and marginal voices never get backed.
I want to be clear because I know there I kind of wasn't completely clear. I am against. I've never ever advocated sacking anybody, even when they've come for me personally. I've never advocated them being, banned from a university campus or sacked from a job, anything like that. But I have been thinking about, what can we do to counter this just phenomenon that exists now where, even Jermaine Greer isn't welcome at university campuses because she's a TERF now. She's said some things that are anti-trans. So she's now problematic. So we need to actually have, and that's what I like about Donald Trump, and also what troubled me about him early on was that he actually employs the left's playbook and they do not know how to deal with it.
Nothing.
He throws their tactics back in their face and it works, it's effective. And I think, at some point, Conservatives have also got to start caring about winning, not just playing by the by their own high standards.
Yeah, I get that too. All right, so we're running a bit long here and you've been very generous with your time, but I did want to...
What time is... Oh, God, I'm going to be on 2GB in any minute
We're
now.
bigger than 2GB.
Just cut out the bits when I was hopelessly incoherent,
right,
which were about...
So
30
Rita,
to 40% of the bits. But because I'm just thinking out loud here with this going after the feral left, it's thinking out loud, but I just think the way we've approached this culture war, ideological fight, whatever you want to call it, has not been smart. One, Conservatives for a long time haven't even engaged in those wars, so the left have won, and what they think has now... the march through the institutions hasn't stopped at public institutions. It's now private institutions. You see the corporate virtue signalling all the time and you know precisely where that comes from. So I think we've just got to be smarter in engaging in these battles. Otherwise, there will be no platform for mainstream conservative voices. If you're triggered by mainstream conservatives, then... you're triggered by Australia. That is Australia. They speak. The reason why Alan Jones is number one and has been forever is because mainstream Australia likes him. The reason why Andrew Bolt is the most read columnist in the country is because mainstream Australia likes him. So if you can't even stomach mainstream conservatism, then there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Rita Panahi, political dissident, freedom fighter, if you will.
Freedom fighter, yeah. So now, right after this, I'm just going to go and open up maybe, 200-300 anonymous accounts, and just try to get people sacked.
There's a bot you can do.
That's
I can show you how to do it.
I'm going to become a lefty
Do it.
in spirit.
Absolutely.
What a
It's the safest way.
tagline. Rita becomes a lefty. We didn't expect that, but
we got there. That's all that matters. All right, Rita,
this
thank you so
show.
much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rita Panahi for that interview. All right, let's go through some culture picks, some stuff that have made us laugh this week, and then we've got another interview with Willoughby Duff. All right, so I want to start off, if I may, Pete.
Shoot.
Because this was fantastic. So Rick Perry, who is the head of the Department of Energy, he oversees America's vast nuclear arsenal. He ran for president and did pretty well one time, and he fell for an Instagram hoax.
okay.
Yep. So bit of a trouble. So people who are watching the podcast on YouTube are seeing the hoax now, but it's one of those ones that gets shared every now and then where it gets on Facebook as well, but it's like the idea of like, I do not give Facebook permission to see my information. The actual quote here. So like, with this statement, I give notice to Instagram. It is strictly forbidden to disclose, copy, distribute, or take any other action against me based on this profile and or its contents. Instagram does not have my permission to share photos or messages. Now, people who saw it on YouTube would say that half of it's in a slightly different font or typeface to the other, which is your number one thing of, this is crazy. And second, like, what is Instagram going to do there? Just go like, dang.
He's got us.
Got us. All right. Well, that is a legally binding document by sharing that photo. Pack it in, boys. We're going to go on to the next target. So anyway, he fell for an Instagram hoax.
It's exactly the kind of thing that your great aunt posts.
Yeah, exactly.
Every 6 months on Facebook.
Yeah. So Rick Perry, I mean, he's 69. He's new to the world of Instagram.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny. And it is also, on the other hand, quite concerning that the guy who is ultimately in charge of America's nuclear codes has the potential to fall for an Instagram hoax. But we can use this to our advantage because, there's like scams that go around on social media websites where it's like, your birthday and your childhood's pet name is your character from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or just like those stuff that's always the I forgot my password questions. They would just say like, hey, this is who you are in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Idiots, put it in and stuff like that. We should do one. Idiots. We should do one, which is like the first 3 numbers of your nuclear code is who you were in a past life, and the last 3 numbers are who you want taking a shot after the siren to win the grand flag. And then we have America's nuclear codes, and then we can solve America's hurricane crisis.
Well, look,
we can finally start making some changes around here.
If we don't do it, the CCP will.
Exactly.
So
and they're not going to use it on the hurricanes. Only you and I are brave enough to take on the hurricane menace.
I think we're the ones that are the ones capable of being responsible for that kind of high-level information.
Hey, I would trust us with America's nuclear codes.
I would as well. But I mean, what's going on
and
with
and if out there, if you're not trusting us with America's nuclear codes, stop listening to the show because clearly we don't have something in common.
Please don't. He's joking.
I'm not.
So Macron's posting fake pictures.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio is. Trump wants to nuke hurricanes. This guy's doing this. Hillary Clinton wants to nuke hurricanes.
Yep.
Allegedly.
Yep.
Ooh. Anyway.
Watch out for those lawyers.
Just get
I
some
didn't even bait you into that
I
one.
said allegedly.
I did not bait you into that one.
You can say whatever you want as long as you say allegedly.
Yeah, but you also went, which I think in the legal document also undoes the allegedly.
Anyway,
I want to solve some hurricanes. So let's get onto it. All right. You have another story.
Mate, Melbourne.
How seamless was that transition?
It was really good. Melbourne Girls College.
That's the son of an experienced podcast host.
That's right. A semi-select school in Melbourne Girls College, is banning rubbish bins. 1,300 students are going to be made to take their garbage home with them. Principal Karen Money says this plan is being adopted with the ambition of becoming a zero waste to landfill school by the end of 2020, massively reducing our environmental impact. She goes on to say, together we can change the world. Please help make this scheme successful and sustainable. Now, today I will have you note, James Bolt, that get your pen out, across the country of Australia, NAPLAN results came out and they were not good. Year 7 and Year 9 students slid backwards on the baseline score in writing, and Year 9 students' scores were flat across the board, so a bit of an issue there.
Yep.
And maybe this is why this kind of stuff's happening.
Well, I got a few questions for you off this article, Pete. So the school spent nearly $1,300 last year to remove $13,000 to remove all the rubbish last year, and there are 1,300 kids in the school. Okay. So the rubbish is costing the school $10 a kid a year.
Okay,
I don't think that's a lot. Is that a lot?
Doesn't seem like much.
I don't think that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Second one, like if. Okay, so sure, there won't be a lot of waste in landfill because there aren't any bins to take to landfill, but I reckon there will be waste in the school because pockets aren't that deep.
Yeah.
Because if you're carrying your rubbish all day, it will drop out of your pocket. So you're saying
people just
as I know with the minty wrappers around this office. Yeah. How many minty wrappers have I dropped in my time?
Thousands.
And I've got deeper pockets than are on school uniforms.
You are a pig, though.
I am an absolute pig. I ate 10 minties a day. And my third question, and probably the most pressing, is the headmistress, I think her name was Miss Money.
Karen Money, yep.
Karen Money. So Miss Money. Is it possible we're yelling at a Rodale book?
I don't know.
I think Miss Money, I'm like, this might be we might be yelling at a fictional novel here.
We may be, and then if we are, we apologise. But look,
have we fallen for our own Instagram hoax? Maybe we can't be trusted with America's nuclear codes.
Maybe, look, I'm starting to question that. But look,
I still think
I have a problem with terrifying our children about this environmental stuff.
Oh, right. We're taking it seriously.
Yes, we're never taking it seriously. Chucking plastic in landfill is not, we're not going to run in a landfill. It's the best thing to do with it. Just relax.
Okay, cool. Well, I got a story that we should take seriously, I think. But so you would have seen like deep fakes are on the rise.
Yes,
so
I have now.
The idea of you can like make a celebrity or anyone look like they're saying something because there's enough audio files of them out there and enough facial expressions. So Jordan Peterson, as people are watching on YouTube now are saying, Jordan Peterson's called for them to be banned. The quote here, the sanctity of your voice and your image is at serious risk. It's hard to imagine a more serious challenge to the sense of shared, reliable reality that keeps us linked together in relative peace. The deepfake artists need to be stopped using whatever legal means are necessary as soon as possible. And it's like, deepfakes are terrifying. And if you can play that like clip of the Bill Hader switching his face to, well, he didn't actually do it, but the deepfake artist it's like a Bill Hader interview and he becomes Tom Cruise, as people are watching on YouTube now. I mean, it's a pretty viral clip, so if you're listening to the show, like I reckon you would have seen it. Deepfakes are scary, and it's going to become a part of, like, how do you prove you didn't say something when it's that realistic? But also, how do you prove what's a deepfake? Like, I don't know how you ban that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it's like any embarrassing footage of you, suddenly that's a deepfake. It's like, well, that's not actually me vomiting outside that nightclub. That's a deepfake, my friend, and I will ask you to take that down.
That vomit's not real.
That vomit's not real.
No, well, when you sent this around, because you sent this around at work, and I didn't quite understand what you were getting at, I was like, oh my God, Bill Hader is so good at impressions.
He can literally change his face.
That's amazing.
This man is a witch.
That's amazing. Then I was like, oh no, he's making a point about deepfakes.
Yeah. It's very scary. And also, like, Jordan Peterson, the whole article doesn't get to, like, how do you ban deepfakes? It's just like, they need to be banned.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that kind of knee-jerk reaction always ends up badly. Just, get rid of it.
It'd be great if this bad thing didn't happen.
Yeah. It would be, but they will.
He's been
terrifying.
He's been a victim of this himself.
Yeah. Apparently there's a website. Well, I think they took it down after the article, but you could get Jordan Peterson to rap God. Oh, that was another part of the article. Jordan Peterson said he liked Rap God. Okay. How about that? Rap God being an Eminem song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the most ambitious crossover event in history. Jordan Peterson apparently likes rap music.
Do you know what? For some reason, I'm not surprised about that.
I am shocked. All right. Let's go to this last one. So the Conservative Student Group.
That's right. Now, we just spoke to Rita Panahi about how we should use the left's playbook at times. This is an example of that. This week, the New York Times reported that a loose network of conservative operatives allied with the White House is pursuing what they will say is an aggressive operation to discredit journos and stuff like that. So effectively, it's just going back through all their stuff, all their writing, all their Facebook posts for years and years and years, and doing the same thing that they do to us, and finding them out and getting them sacked. They've already got a camera editor sacked from CNN, and also a New York Times political editor has been brought up as well. Now, the New York Times and CNN, etc., have said, this is against journalistic integrity. This is a fight on the free press.
Can I read out the quote? Because it is delicious.
Yeah, read it.
So the New York Times, using journalistic techniques to target journalists and news organisation as retribution for or as a warning not to pursue coverage critical of the president is fundamentally different from the well-established role of the news media in scrutinising people in positions of power. Hey, we can do it to people in power, but you can't do it to us who are also in power because we're doing it to people in power because you're not in power.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's just so hypocritical.
Yeah.
And look, I know you're a bit like...
I have a few takes.
You have a few takes. Yeah. You're sort of like, you can do your takes, but I think like...
Thank you for your permission.
I think you
didn't want to see them before I could say you could go, no.
I know what they are. But look, I know two wrongs don't make a right.
Yes.
But sometimes two wrongs for a little while can make it right.
All right. Well, you can tell that to the camera editor that got fired. Like, wow, what a target.
Well, he was doing anti-Semitic tweets.
Yeah, but like, it's also a camera editor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, we're getting camera editors fired? Like, how is this the battleground in which we want to win? Like, yay, they're going to have to go to AAP now. we stuck it up to them.
Mate, all you have to do is do it for a while, do it for 6 months, do it for a year, and then they
And just
will
a fair
say,
few people get fired.
well, that's
People's
what's the
lives are ruined.
alternative? What's the alternative?
People stop getting
We just
fired
keep
for
copying
things.
it forever.
No, but like Sarah Silverman's copying it now. Other people are copying it now. I think less people are doing it than it used to be. So my message
about
to
that.
anyone, I'll barrel the camera if I have to. My message to anyone who is thinking about joining this or is like digging through journalist tweets in an effort to discourage them, please stop doing it. You suck. That would be my theory.
James is wrong.
That is my
and
theory.
listen to me.
That is my practice. Stop it.
It's going to stop it more in the long term if we start doing it.
Okay, cool. I'll go get the camera editor on the phone and just be like, look, Pete's got a few things he wants to say.
Mate, I've got no sympathy for him. He's anti-Semite.
Or was, and then he's deleted them. Like, I haven't seen the tweets. Have you seen the tweets?
I can't remember if I've seen the tweets.
Like, is James Gunn an anti-Semite because of those tweets 7 years ago that were clearly joking? Is Kevin Hart a homophobe because of 8 years ago tweets because he's clearly a homophobe?
Exactly. These are all the examples of what happens.
Kevin Hart's not a right-wing figure. Kevin Hart's as left as they come.
Okay.
But he gets fired from the Oscars. James Gunn's a left-winger. He gets fired from Marvel.
Well, all I'm saying is we need to do, anyway, I've made my point.
Yeah, I know. All right. Last story, and then we'll go to our interview with Willoughby Duff. All right, so Melbourne Fringe Festival coming up. A Melbourne comedian, Kate Hanley-Corley, had a show called Aisha, the Aussie Geisha, the Accidental Oriental. From what I understand, it's like the idea is that she plays a character whose husband runs off with a Japanese woman, so she becomes a Japanese geisha or something like that. Anyway, Fringe Festival, weird stuff's going to happen. Weird shows are going to happen. But a open letter signed by more than 70 people started to get circulated, which called for her to scrap the show and for Melbourne Fringe to not have it. She's taken the show down. Melbourne Fringe Chief Executive Simon Abraham said the festival did not get the balance right in this instance between inclusion and artistic freedom. No more show.
Okay.
It's another example of book burning before the book is even published.
Yeah.
It is like, look, there is a possibility that the show is distasteful and the show makes fun of people it shouldn't in an unfair way, and perhaps like a venue might not want to be associated with that show, but no one's seen it.
Yeah.
So how do we know?
Well, exactly right. And the Fringe Festival is meant to be this thing that pushes the barriers.
Yeah,
of
exactly. It's like, hey, anything goes. I've seen some weird shows at the Fringe Festival in my time, and not way weirder than this show.
Yeah.
That's all fine. Yeah. But if you make the right number of people slightly uncomfortable, you're gone.
That's right. Yeah. Didn't she have Asian friends that said they were fine with it?
Yeah, well, like, again, no one's seen the show. So how do we know? Yeah. Like, she's got friends who have said, oh, that's fine. Yeah. But no one who signed that letter has seen the show and can comment on what's in the show.
I just love the idea.
Just go, oh, look at that photo. That's weird.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a pretty weird photo. But I just love the idea of white people telling Asian people, no, we'll tell you what's racist.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, bad luck to the next time the Melbourne Theatre Company wants to host the Mikado.
Exactly
like,
right.
That's gone.
Exactly
right.
right.
Final thing I want to discuss before we go to our interview.
Yeah.
So, Peter, you've done the podcast proud.
Okay.
You've done something that's made me, your father figure.
What a thought.
Father figure. Very proud.
Yeah.
I watched you like a son.
Okay.
You were on Sky News on the weekend.
I was on Sky News on the weekend, mate. My television debut. I did
television.
Did better than I'm doing now.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
But does it in your Sunday a bit?
Yeah.
It took me like 2/3 of a day.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Don't do that again.
I was very grateful for
So, tell us about it.
Well, it was pretty good. You know, you sort of just get put into this room and then you speak to yourself, and it's all connected up with people in other rooms in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I was up against someone from the Australia Institute. That was fine. Look, the one thing I am proud of is that I inserted into the national debate. They asked me about, what do you think about Scott Morrison's election victory? And I said it was very important because of this. And I know there's more to politics than winning elections, but you can't make runs from the pavilion, as they say in cricket. So I'm just glad that's going to become a...
You were on TV for 13 minutes and your 4-second cricket analogy was the highlight.
Mate,
That's Peter Gregory in a nutshell.
Journos always copy talking points, right?
Yep.
People will be saying that across the nation over the next...
You can't make runs from the pavilion.
Yeah, in terms of election victories.
That's like... that should be in a fortune cookie.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't make runs from the pavilion.
It should be.
That's deep. Steep.
Yeah.
All right. You made us very proud.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. As your father, I beseech my pride onto you.
Wow.
That is it for this part of the show. Let's go to our interview with Willoughby Duff. Willoughby Duff was one of the panelists on Q&A High School Special. It is a really interesting chat. This guy is going to be Prime Minister within 2 weeks. I've narrowed it down from 20 years to 2 years to 2 weeks.
Yep.
So it's
Can't make runs from the pavilion.
By the end of this interview, he will rule us all, which is good news for Pete because we get him to commit to giving us some jobs. So let's go to that interview now.
Cool.
Can't make runs from the pavilion.
All right, we're now here with Willoughby Duff, a 16-year-old from Kennedy Baptist College in Perth. He was on Q&A last night with Tony Jones and the gang, and we thought we'd get him on the show to have a quick chat. Willoughby, how you going?
I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for having me on the show.
Look, no problem, mate. We want to start with a negative. You made me and James watch Q&A last night, so if you could quickly apologise for that, that'd be great. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, I'm sorry, mate, that I had to put you through that ordeal, and I understand how hard it can be for us.
It can be hard because
conservatives to scratch our eyes out.
Well, look, I was going to use that exact phrase because it was sort of a high school edition for those who didn't watch. And you know, the first thing was like, we need action on climate change right now. Yeah. So there was a bit of I wanted to stab myself in the face.
All right, but apology accepted. Accepted. Why did you want to go on the Q&A high school thing?
Yeah, so I'm someone who's been passionate for a very long time about politics, and sort of the more I've found my way through the whole politics thing, I've sort of come to the conclusion that I'm someone who is conservative, and I think that conservative voices are not heard enough, particularly from young people. The dominant sort of worldview seems to be a left-wing one. From our young people. So I really wanted to be able to speak on behalf of those young conservative people who don't seem to have a voice on platforms.
Well, funny you should mention that, mate, because when Tony Jones was doing his big introduction of the awesome panel, he described people as, a disability advocate or someone who had organised a climate march at their school. Now, when he got to you, old mate Tony Jones only described you as a young conservative, and that covered it. So why do you think he didn't mention the dignity of work or human flourishing? Why do you think he felt like just labelling you a young conservative was enough?
Well, I think that Q&A has to get its ratings up by creating a bit of controversy between the panellists. I think that that's really what it was about. I'm happy to be described as someone who is the young conservative on the panel, but at the same time, I would have liked to have maybe a couple of other things that I'm passionate about expressed as well, but they sort of have to create a bit of division between the panellists as well to try and get a debate flourishing, I guess.
Yeah, what's it like being in the elite club of people that Tony Jones has talked over?
It's an honour. Last night it was a bit in my face, but it was okay. It was all in a good spirit, I guess. But,
he was on his best behaviour. He hadn't been doing it as much as I've seen in the past, but I was still a few times where I'm like, I don't think he'd reach the end of his sentence there, Tony.
No, I hadn't on a couple of occasions, and that was, I think, Christina Keneally also interrupted me a couple of times. But no, I hadn't reached the sentences on some occasions, but I think a couple of other panellists may have got an interruption as well, so...
No worries. So you're on Q&A last night. A lot of it was about climate change and abortion. If you were the host of Q&A, what issues would you be asking young people about and why? Like, what are really important issues to you?
A really important issue to me is maintaining the social traditions and values of Australia that not only my parents' generation but my grandparents' generation have been able to benefit from. That's made it Australia such a prosperous society, and I think that doesn't get talked about enough because all we talk about is change this, change that, when we really realise that what's at stake if we make all these big radical changes on social fronts. So I think that's something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah. Are those issues reflective of what gets discussed at school? Like, is that actually what young people are talking about? Are there any issues that are really pressing towards young people that didn't get a shout out on last night's show?
Well, in sort of my experience, there have been people who are concerned, who, when you talk to them enough, they say, "Oh, okay, that's what we're sort of facing here." But I think kids are also passionate about making sure that they can get the best educational outcomes in their life, that they can have a job, a secure job, and that they can raise a prosperous family. They're not so interested in this big sort of radical change that gets talked about a lot. So it's really, really sort of basic things that I get talked to about, such as raising a good family, having a good job, and just being able to live your life, I guess.
All right, so we've sort of started talking about your peer group, so let's just go on with that a little bit more. Are you alone amongst your mates as a conservative, or do a lot of your friends feel the same way, or how's the breakdown sort of work out?
Oh, well, I think in the earlier days, Year 7, etc., I was sort of known as the young conservative, but I think as a lot of us have gotten a bit older, matured a bit more, I think there's a bit of a greater respect for each other's opinions. But certainly I have friends across the political divide, and I mean, I would say that the majority of my friends would be conservative. I'm happy to admit that. But I also have plenty of left-wing friends as well, and in my year group as well.
Pete and I watched last night, and we were absolutely blown away by your performance. I think, you'll be Prime Minister within at least 7 to 8 years. So we just got a couple of requests here. So I would love to be the US ambassador when you come to power. And then, Pete, do you have any requests you want?
Well, what I'd like, Willoughby, is I'd actually like to be given my own show on the ABC, which I'm overpaid for and that is overstaffed.
Sorry, can we commit to that? Does that sound good to you, Willoughby?
Sounds great. I can definitely make that a priority, 100%.
Yeah, brilliant. I will send you some paperwork in the next couple of minutes. But you talk about how in your circle of friends, everyone's quite respectful and you have left-wing friends and you guys can get along, but certainly not the experience that I saw on social media and on the Q&A Facebook page. Now, I know you might not have seen that yourself, but did you ever start to hear about some of the stuff that people were saying online while you were on?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My friends had brought it up, and there were teachers at my school who were also concerned about it. But I understand that this is what social media is like. It's a bit of a cesspool, really, on both sides of politics, really, to an extent. But I think a lot of people were getting slandered as well, so that was sort of across for all panellists. But I was made aware that I was receiving a few comments such as IPA clone or young liberal or stupid idiot or whatever. But it didn't really have much of an effect on me because I just know that they don't represent a majority of people. And if you're making those comments, then I don't know what else have you got to do with your life, really.
That's exactly right. That's really well said, mate. Now, you aren't on any social media channels, you just told us. What's the reason for that? Is it because you think it's a bit of a cesspit?
Yeah, I think that too, but then there's also parents as well. And I understand that it's not probably going into year 11 and 12 as well. It's probably not something that I want to get caught up too much in, and I understand that there are a lot of dangers, but there's a lot of good things as well that come with social media. But that's just a personal choice of mine to not have social media, but I can understand why people do have it.
Yeah, with the stuff being written about on social media, one of the discussions you were having on the show was that Greta Thunberg doesn't deserve to be talked down to, that people should be respecting her opinions. And I saw a lot of online commenters on one side go, we need to respect Greta Thunberg, just because she's a kid doesn't mean anything. And then the second it turns to you, it's like, well, he's a young conservative, no one needs to worry about him. Like, did you see that hypocrisy?
Yeah, I do a bit. I do. I think I was always the last person to talk as well, and sometimes I did miss out on the occasional comment. But on that issue of on sort of what happened last night on that Greta Thunberg issue, I thought when I was set up in that way, I think I was sort of almost a bit backed into a corner in terms of giving a response. So
yeah, absolutely. I thought that too.
All right, so one person who was critical of you online was left-wing commentator Mike Carlton, who tweeted, "Fancy joining the Liberal Party as a teenager. I can see why you might when you get rich, fat, old, selfish and greedy. But at 17, how tragic." So why don't you explain to Mike and others why you are attracted to the ideas of liberty and why you got involved?
Well, I'm someone who has always been passionate about maintaining the social traditions of this country. And I think that we need to realise in this country that big government and big bureaucracies are not beneficial for society. And I do believe strongly in those values of liberty, and that the individual should be driving our focus on all things, particularly in the economic and social sphere. And I think that that's really important, and making sure that there is also a safety net for those who aren't as well off as ourselves. But I think that the individual is something that is extremely powerful in our society. And I think I've just come to realise that at a young age.
All right, brilliant. So Willoughby, thanks so much for your time. So I want to get a sense of, would you go back on Q&A after that performance? Because we thought definitely you need to go back on.
Oh, yeah, I definitely consider going back on, 100%, yeah.
All right, brilliant. Willoughby, thanks so much for joining us. We just want to get one final commitment to you from you that we're going to get our ambassadorship and Pete's going to get a show on the ABC.
100%. I can definitely get you your show on the ABC and your ambassadorship to the United States.
All right, that's going to be a great audio file when you're Prime Minister. All right, brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. That gets me every week. All right, let us wrap up this week's show with the Hey, What Did We Miss? The Young IPA quiz. We have 3 contestants today. As always, Roof Seal, Peter Gregory on the end, Patrick Hannaford, returning champion, and Dr. Bella Debrera joining us to try and unseat Patrick. So, welcome to the quiz.
I thought I was meant to be unseating Pete.
No, Pete did not win last week.
I didn't win last week. Yeah, one thing I will say about last week, James, a few listeners have noted that perhaps there was a bit of an issue with your adding up.
Yes, I think I stuffed up the score check. What was it? Literally every single time I read out the scores, they're incorrect. Sorry, I've designed a actual scoreboard for me to follow.
That's good. I like it.
The word is scoreboard. Yeah. Oh, it's actually still Word. I'm not a fancy boy with the Excel.
Come on, bro. We know you went to Cambridge.
Sorry.
You don't have to...
All right, sorry. We've got 9 questions and Who Am I? Every question's worth 1 point. If you get an incorrect answer, I'm taking 1 away.
Yep.
Shall we begin? We all good?
Does everyone
Buzzers?
Buzzers.
Buzzers is going to be your first name for people that haven't heard the show before. Sorry, quick buzzer check down the table.
Roof Seal.
Roof Seal.
Pat.
Better.
I can do that. All right, sweet. Question 1.
Yes.
Good luck to everyone.
Quiz time.
Question
Favorite
1.
time of the week.
Where is the G7 meeting being
Bella.
held? Bella.
Biarritz.
Is that in France?
Yep.
Yeah.
I wrote down France. Europe. Earth. All right. Okay. Question 2. Name 5 G7 countries.
Peter. Canada, America, Australia, Italy, Germany.
Done.
5 points.
Hang on.
Oh, I said Australia.
Australia is not part of G7.
Oh, no. Well, sorry. That is going to be 1 point off for Pete.
That's as bad as Tim Payne's captaincy the other night.
Well, let's not throw you down
Lift,
the river.
Peter,
Can
lift.
anyone name 5?
Wow.
Fat.
The US, Canada, France, Germany,
Oh, my God.
Great Britain.
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
UK?
Yep.
Well,
all right.
technically.
Sorry. Score check. Bella 1, Pat 1, Pete -1. Sorry, Pete. Question 3. Which Australian film star went viral complaining about the seats at the USA
Peter.
versus...
Roof Seal.
Roof Seal.
I said Peter, which is technically not my buzzer,
But-
so give it to Bella.
All right, Bella.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe did indeed complaining about how much money he's shelled out for bad
This stuff
basketball
all in the
seats.
news this week?
Sorry? This is in the news. This was newsworthy.
This is easier than
especially
last
for. Oh well. Still, the last 7 days since the last podcast. Come on, Pat. Come on, team player. All right.
I'm waiting for the Brexit question.
Question. You slow down there, Patrick. Question 4. According to a report today, you like that, Pat? According to a report today, how many suburbs in Australia still don't even have a date set for the NBN to arrive?
Good question.
Within the nearest 10 suburbs in Australia, the NBN been a thing for years. How many suburbs still don't have any?
I don't know.
No,
Any random guesses? You don't want to lose
We're all
that
going to
point.
lose a point, aren't we?
Yeah.
For a random guess.
All right, so it's 123. Still nothing.
I would have said 5 million, so therefore I was right not to answer.
I was still giving you a point for closest to the mark.
Hey.
All right, question 6. So, which comedian is drawing a lot of ire for his recent stand-up special, Sticks and
Roof Seal.
Stones? Roof Seal.
Dave Chappelle.
Done. All right, Pete, back to 0.
Back to 0.
All right, so score check still. Bella 2, Pat 1, Roof Seal 0.
That's right. Can't believe
Anyone
I
can
said
win.
that.
Anyone can lose, but anyone can win.
That's right.
All right, next question. What was Donald Trump's reported solution to hurricanes?
Bella.
That was
Oh,
Bella,
yeah,
just.
Bella
Pat went for a
Whisker.
lean in, and it just killed him because he
Nuclear bombs right in the middle of a hurricane.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
Best way to stop a hurricane
Yeah.
I've ever heard. If it's not going to be in Act 3 of an action film, I don't want to hear about it. All right, next question. So, which Australian politician climbed Uluru this
Bella.
week? Oh, Bella again.
Sorry, Pauline
buzzer.
Hanson.
Pauline Hanson. Bella is running
They
away
just
with
call
it.
her Quickfire Debrera. Like, one of those
Do they?
shooters in the... I don't know what that actually means, but
Quick fight to Brera.
just one of those shooters in the Old West, bang.
All right, quick draw.
Quick draw, that's it.
Okay, IPA adjunct fellow Aaron Lane got some media last week off this story. So public servants in the Treasury are getting how much money
Bella.
per employee?
Oh, my God.
$600.
$600 in lifestyle contribution allowance. So they basically get $600 from their employer to go to the
Really?
gym. Last year it cost us
the right job.
$497,000.
Wow, eh?
Yeah.
600
Bella
bucks.
was like, all the morning going like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep up with the news cycle.
No, I did not say that. I said
I'll
there's
get
a
the
lot
Slack
of I said there's a
messages.
lot of news.
And you read it all.
Read it all. All right. Did you see these questions?
No, I did not.
Okay, cool. Which Pacific nation announced today that they were moving their capital
Bella.
city?
Indonesia.
All over it. All
Oh my
over it.
God,
This could be an
guys.
all-time. All right, sorry.
This is a
score
percentage
check.
booster.
Okay, and then last question before the Who Am I?
I'm going to get it back with the Who Am I? Win the whole thing.
Yeah.
You'll need it. It's six to Bella, 1 to Pat, and 0 to Pete.
Oh, can I get relegated, or is it, like will I still be in next week?
Go play seconds.
I'll be
All right. Okay, so obviously the whole world's looking at the Amazon rainforest fires.
Yep.
And the president is drawing a lot of ire. So spell Jair Bolsonaro.
Bella.
Oh,
Bella again.
Jair.
Yep.
BOLSONARO.
Yep.
oh my
gotta
God.
guess.
She's
Gotta
too
guess.
quick.
All right.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Quiz is already settled.
I've got to get quicker.
Quiz is already settled. Bella's won. It's 7-1-0.
Could she lose
And-
points for a misdemeanor or something? Like, what if she's found to be a drug cheat or something like that? Think about it.
All right, cool. So let's do the Who Am I just to have a bit of fun.
Just because we've got to fill a bit of content.
We've run short.
Because we went through so quick.
The Bella DeBrera show has really sped through our budget here.
Yeah.
All right, so who am I? I was born on this date in 1632 in Britain. 5 points. This date,
1632.
Could be anybody.
Well,
Sorry,
it could
but
really be a very select group
That's
of
the
people.
measure.
For people that were both born in 1632 and are still relevant today.
It's not. This is not a. We can't ask questions.
I'm just
can
gonna
we?
go
Can I ask you
Pat.
questions?
Pat, nothing to lose.
John Locke.
What?
What is he on?
He was on 1. So
was your-
that gets 6, but Bella gets 7.
Oh my God. That's an absolute boil over.
And Pete gets 0.
I don't know. I
did
just
you
guess
just
like
guess
people
that out of
may be
you?
relevant born around.
It was
There's so
John
many
Locke.
relevant
It was John Locke. Do you know how much time I spent trying to figure out a 3-pointer and a 2-pointer for John Locke?
What are the questions?
Well, if you'll indulge me. So
Yeah,
4
run
points
through.
was going to be on one of the most influential thinkers in the Enlightenment. Still could be
Yeah.
only a few.
Yeah.
better. My most famous work is Essay Concerning
Yeah, okay,
Human
you
Understanding.
jumped in.
Good?
John
Was that
Locke,
good?
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And the other one was 2 treatises
Two
concerning
treatises
government.
content, which I've seen in the state
Treatises.
library.
Oh, that's a fun fact.
Treatises.
Sorry, Pete, who's trying to
Which
see
I've
what your
actually
score
seen.
is.
Two trees
I've
and a
seen-
gun.
Looks like
I've
it's
seen the
treatises,
original
mate.
in the State Library in New South Wales. One of the original copies.
Wait, was that with you for that trip, the
No.
film trip? No.
No,
You saw
we left
something
you at home
else.
for that one.
Oh, okay. As you should. All right, that is it for the show this week. Thanks again to all our guests. Thank you to our panelists here for the quiz. Bella, returning champion, you'll be back next week.
Yeah.
Peter, making up the numbers, will also be back next week.
I think I'll win next
Got
week.
nowhere else to go. And
I knew the answers, I was just too slow.
Maybe if we like accumulate Pete's score over several weeks.
When does Paddy leave now? Like he's already lost. We don't need for this bit, do we?
That's really just having a good day. All right. Make sure if you're listening, you're subscribed on any of the platforms. You can tell your friends and family about it as well. We're available on all podcast platforms. We're also filming the quiz. If you want to watch us do the quiz, if you want to watch us do the whole damn show, that's all on the IPA's YouTube channel as well. So you can go watch it as well.
Oh, damn show.
Whole damn show and nothing else. See you guys next week.
Say up.